In a tunnel choked with traffic, one man risks everything to hunt down a yellow sports car. His eyes are fixed on the driver, fueled by a single dark vow. No matter the cost, I will drag you to hell. This is Tae-jun, a relentless delivery driver who never stops grinding. One night, while chatting with a coworker, a spoiled heiress snatches their delivery and hurls it onto the pavement, simply because the coworker accidentally brushed against her. Staring at the ruined meal, Tae-jun hits a breaking point. He roars off on his motorcycle, weaving through side streets he knows by heart, and cuts the sports car off. Without blinking, he tosses the food back into her lap and growls, "Pay up." The rich kids realize too late they've provoked the wrong man and frantically hand over the cash. After the chaos, Tae-jun stops by a school to check on his younger brother, Tae-jin. The two have been inseparable since losing their mother, and Tae-jun reminds him to stay focused on his exams while he handles their mother's memorial alone. After work, Tae-jun rushes home to decorate the garden with friends. He and his girlfriend, Suji, are weeks away from opening a flower shop, a dream funded by a massive bank loan he's been working double shifts to repay. Things finally seem to be looking up. The next morning, Tae-jun makes breakfast for Suji and heads out for another grueling day. After a delivery, he spots a dying plant on a stairwell and pauses to leave a note on how to revive it before rushing to his next stop. On his next run, he stops to help an elderly woman haul a heavy suitcase up a steep hill. Later that night, while eating dinner, a phone rings on the ground next to him. He picks it up, intending to drop it at a store, but the woman on the other end begs him to bring it to her directly. She offers 300,000 won as a reward. Eager for the extra cash for the shop, Tae-jun heads to a deserted tunnel. She calls again, sounding paranoid, and tells him to leave it in a call box. Confused, he complies and leaves. As he walks away, a speeding truck nearly crushes him. The next day, while tending his plants, the police barge in. He's arrested for the brutal rape and murder of a young woman. The police have already decided he's the killer. Tae-jun is paralyzed with shock. He doesn't even know the victim, but the nightmare is just beginning. His personal info is leaked online instantly. Angry mobs spray paint "murderer" across the walls of his dream flower shop. When Suji visits the station, Tae-jun breaks down, screaming his innocence. She hires a lawyer who feels confident. They have GPS data from his deliveries to prove his whereabouts. They reconstruct his entire 48-hour timeline in a single day. But at the trial, the prosecution drops 3 bombshells. First, Tae-jun delivered to the victim's building, and his time fixing a tree is dismissed as a convenient lie. Second, the suitcase he helped the old lady with, it's identical to the one the body was found in. Third, the phone. The tunnel where he dropped it was only meters from the body. Then the killing blow. Tae-jun's DNA is found on the victim. He is speechless. To top it off, the prosecution claims no one ever saw the tree he supposedly tended. Even Suji begins to doubt him when she sees a crime scene photo of a couple's bracelet, the same one she gave him, found near the body. She ends the relationship in tears. Tae-jun is sentenced to life. In the darkness of prison, Tae-jun loses the will to live until a public defender named Kim visits. Kim suggests the case feels scripted, like someone followed a manual to frame him. This spark of hope grows when Tae-jun remembers he left his real bracelet in his brother's dorm. Kim tells him to keep quiet while he investigates. But before hope can take root, reality shatters him again. Kim returns with news that Tae-jun has committed suicide, leaving a note of shame. Tae-jun tries to end his life to join his brother, but he wakes up strapped to a hospital bed. He becomes a shell of a man until an older inmate named Sik offers him a piece of cake and a reason to survive. Sik tells him to treat his life as a gift and use it to fix his regrets. Tae-jun begins a grueling transformation, studying, training his body to a lethal edge, and tending a small garden in the prison yard. 5 years pass. Tae-jun is now a tree doctor and a powerhouse of a man. Sik is released, leaving Tae-jun his own bracelet as a parting gift. Soon after, a new young inmate arrives crying that he was framed after trying to return a lost phone. He mentions the same public defender, Kim. When the boy commits suicide the next day, Tae-jun realizes the horrifying truth. He lures Kim to a meeting and goads him into a confession. Kim smirks, admitting the entire thing was a fabrication for a wealthy client. Tae-jun didn't kill himself. He was murdered because he found the real bracelet. Tae-jun returns to his cell and swears a blood oath. He doesn't know the mastermind is Johan, a fixer for the elite, who turns murders into art. Meanwhile, Tae-jun stops being a victim. When the prison's top dog, Dak-soo, tries to bully him, Tae-jun dismantles his gang in seconds. The warden, who runs illegal underground fights with Dak-soo, tries to keep the peace, but Tae-jun is already planning his exit. He tells a visiting Sikh that he isn't climbing over the walls, he's walking out the front door. He begins a meticulous study of guards, keys, and schedules. He manipulates Dak-soo into getting thrown into solitary to clear his path. He uses white glue and sponges to create molds of gate keys while gardening. However, a hitman disguised as a doctor enters the prison with a syringe of rat poison meant for Tae-jun. On the day of a massive underground fight, Tae-jun executes his plan. He swaps places with another inmate for his vaccine to avoid the hitman, then uses the chaos of the fight to slip away. He cuts the power, steals an access card, and crawls through the vents. But the hitman realizes the switch and finds Tae-jun, injecting him with the poison. Tae-jun fights the agony, blending into a crowd of visitors and walking out the front gate before collapsing. He wakes in a prison infirmary. The vitamins Sikh gave him acted as a partial antidote. The warden and guards are baffled by his genius escape route. Dak-soo, out of solitary, leads a final lynch mob to Tae-jun's bed. Despite his injuries, Tae-jun fights like a demon, overpowering the gang and nearly taking Dak-soo's life. He is thrown into solitary, where the vision of his murdered brother hardens his heart forever. Suddenly, Tae-jun and 12 other high-risk inmates are hooded and driven to a remote factory. The warden has sold them to Johan for gold bars. Johan has created a racetrack for the bored rich, where inmates must drive to the death. 5 years ago, Johan framed Tae-jun to protect a congressman's son, Duke Young, who had killed a girl. Now the hunter and the prey are in the same room. Johan realizes Tae-jun is his masterpiece scapegoat and turns the race into a targeted execution. He offers double the prize money to whoever kills Tae-jun. In a high-octane chase involving motorcycles, explosives, and sniper shots, Tae-jun uses a gas tank to blow a hole in the perimeter and leaps his bike into the river below. He survives and finds refuge with Sikh and his rebellious daughter, Yoon-bi. The revenge begins. Tae-jun hunts down lawyer Kim and beats the truth out of him. He discovers the organization is already preparing their next scapegoat, a barber named Mrs. So. Tae-jun sets up a counter-surveillance nest, watching the watchers. When the trap is set for Mrs. So to return a phone, Tae-jun intervenes as a masked robber, stealing the phone and breaking Johan's script. Johan sends a corrupt cop, Gook, to find Tae-jun. Gook threatens Sikh and Yoon-bi, but they hold firm. Tae-jun realizes he cannot hide anymore. To save the innocent and avenge his brother, he must step out of the shadows and turn the entire city into his own battlefield.
Tae-jun knows he can't outrun a man who owns the city's surveillance, so he lures Johan to the one place cameras can't reach, the abandoned, half-constructed flower shop he once dreamed of owning. He leaks his location through lawyer Kim, knowing Johan's ego won't let a disposable part like him walk free. Johan arrives in his sleek black sedan, flanked by his last 2 elite mercenaries. He walks into the dark skeletal building, holding a tablet that shows a 3D thermal map of the structure. "I hand-picked you because you were a nobody, Tae-jun," Johan calls out, his voice echoing against the concrete. "Don't ruin a perfect story by dying in the dirt." Suddenly, the thermal map on Johan's tablet glitches. Tae-jun has rigged the shop with industrial heaters and steam pipes, masking his heat signature. Out of the darkness, a motorcycle engine roars. Tae-jun bursts through a plastic sheet, using the bike as a projectile. He leaps off midair and the bike slams into the mercenaries. Before they can recover, Tae-jun is on them. His movements aren't just fast, they are precise, the result of 5 years of training for this exact minute. With the guards neutralized, only Johan remains. The genius pulls a compact pistol, but Tae-jun doesn't flinch. "You killed a kid who just wanted his brother back," Tae-jun says, his voice a low growl. Johan sneers, firing a shot that grazes Tae-jun's shoulder. "I gave your life meaning. You were a delivery boy. Now you're a legend." Tae-jun closes the gap. He doesn't use a gun. He uses a pair of gardening shears, the very tool Johan tried to frame Miss So with. The fight is brutal and unpolished. Johan is fast, but Tae-jun is a force of nature. He drives Johan back into the center of the shop, where a single healthy tree stands in a pot, the one Tae-jun sent back to Johan as a message. Tae-jun pins Johan against the tree. He has the shears at Johan's throat. Outside, sirens wail. Sik and Yoonbi have delivered the evidence, the original phone and Kim's recorded confession, directly to the Internal Affairs Bureau. "Killing you is too easy," Tae-jun whispers, blood dripping from his brow. "I'm going to let the world watch you become the one thing you hate, a loser." Tae-jun shoves a hidden camera into Johan's face. He's been live streaming the entire confession to every major news outlet using Johan's own Skynet frequency. The police burst in, led by a non-corrupt task force. Johan is dragged away in zip ties, his god complex shattered as the cameras he once controlled now broadcast his disgrace. Tae-jun stands alone in the ruins of his dream, looking at the couple's bracelet on his wrist, the one Sik gave him. He walks out into the rain, finally a free man, as the screen fades to black with the words, "Justice is never scripted."